Hey everybody, welcome back to Soundcheck. This is Brent.
And this is Walter.
We just saw a killer show.
It is, you actually had it, September 14th, 2022. We were at the Metro Gallery. Today was actually Brent's first time at the gallery, which is pretty tight. I've been here many times. A lot of great shows and memories in this area. Really nice, small, intimate venue. Like, they have a green room, but it's like hidden back from like what the stage actually is. So like where the bands load and unload, you can actually see it like happen right next to the door. That's how small it is. It's kind of tight actually. Um yeah, so we just finished seeing local hometown heroes, Under the Pier. Then it was the Callous Daoboys. Rolls right off the tongue. Cryptodira, one of my personal favorite bands, and the one and only Rolo Tomassi. Take it away.
Woo! So yeah, this was my this was a lot of firsts tonight. First time at Metro Gallery. So that's fun to talk about a new venue for a change, or at least from my perspective. I really liked it. I love small, intimate venues. It was so fun to be able to just kind of bounce around, socializing with people, get a drink, buy some merch, and then you can just pop right to the front of the stage again, mosh, go out for a breath of air, chat with the band members. It's so cool just interacting with everyone. Tonight was just like pure love. Like every band had reverence for every other band. Tonight was my first time seeing all of these bands. All of them I've listened to and have been pumped for. I mean, this was a stacked lineup. Tonight, there was also Idols playing at the Anthem and Knocked Loose at the Fillmore. Oh, yeah. And we were bummed to miss that, but there was just no way. I mean, Rolo Tomassi's from the UK, and to my knowledge, they don't come here too often. They said this was their first headlining tour in North America. And then Callous Daoboys, it was their first time playing in Baltimore. They're from Georgia. And so yeah, I guess we'll just start at the top with Under the Pier. I've listened to them. You actually know the members. We were chatting with them a good bit tonight.
So I know Ian and Dylan from that band. Originally we were going to actually have them on today, but of course they were pretty tired after the set, so understandable they weren't able to come to the car and like do the podcast. I'm looking back like they're there.
Just like
boop, 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 boop. But no, yeah, they did a super killer set. This was actually my first time hearing them live. My good friend CJ is also good friends with them. Yeah, I mean, it's just the way I can kind of describe them is just fucking raw.
Yeah.
Raw as I like raw as can be, like the most grittiest tones, the most like ear screeching, kind of like what Dillinger Escape Plan does, with like the whole dissonance, like think, the little just that specific sound. They do it like for the entire set. It's awesome. I think it's super well calculated, and like with them being math, it just means they change up their time signatures pretty often in the set. It's kind of hard to keep up with, especially if you're. I think if you're not paying attention, you can definitely keep up with it. But like if you got to think about it, that's a whole different story because there's just tempos you got to line up and like meters you got to match, etc. Then we had the Callous Daoboys. This is Brent's personal favorite. He's been waiting to see them for a while, and this was my first time exposing myself to them. And Cryptodira, originally they were supposed to be performing at Sidebar like a few years ago, pre-pandemic, but I think once the pandemic happened, Sidebar closed down, RIP, and never really got to see them. But I'm glad I definitely got to see them today. I will say they did not play my favorite song. I'm gonna look that up later. That's all I wanted. It was a great set though. Like they traveled from Long Island. Tomorrow's like their last show within the tour, and I think they were very happy that I I think any band would be pretty happy just touring right now, and just got to live it up to be honest. And Rolo Tomassi. Ooh, ooh. Anyways, what do you got to say about the Callous Daoboys? You got the knowledge on them.
Yeah. So Under the Pier, we talked to them all night, but I forget which one was which. But I said to one of them, I hope they took it as a compliment that I thought Under the Pier kind of sounded like Psyopus.
Oh yeah. I think he was like, what?
And just like all like full foot on the pedal. There's no relief. There's just like constant change up, super erratic. I love that stuff. It tickles my brain. And like the vocalist of Callous Daoboys, Carson Pace said, it's music that scares me. And that's rad.
I thought it was pretty funny actually. And the fact that he mentioned them, like saying, I don't know, mentioning them in their like a little banter, that's kind of awesome, you know, like for an opening act to kind of like have a pretty good following right now, and for like a band to actually be a band of like Callous Daoboy stature to recognize them and then to be like, scare me. I would take that as a compliment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Daoboys are in a real zeitgeist right now. I don't even know if that's the right context to use that. But anyway, there's just a huge amount of attention on them at the moment. Normally I take notes for these episodes. I barely took any notes at all. I was just completely in the zone. I haven't really fully dedicated to being a pit for a show in a while, and I was pretty much in it for everyone except Cryptodira. Wow, Cryptodira. That was my break. I do like them, but I just wasn't quite as familiar with them as the other three bands, so I kind of used that as a break for merch and interacting with band members and, getting a breath and stuff like that. Callous Daoboys was so much fun. I've been a fan of theirs since, I guess, like Animal Tetris. And then they released Die on Mars, and for a pretty young band, I mean, it was considered in like mathcore, metalcore canon as like an instant classic. And then just 12 days ago, they released Celebrity Therapist. And I really dig Celebrity Therapist. I'm pretty excited for them because that's a huge amount of pressure to fulfill, to be so early in your career and create this instant classic that's beloved, and then to have to follow it up. And they go, even by their experimental standards, they really kind of like dive in. I heard one of the hosts from the Mathcast podcast, the guys from Mathcore Index, one of them referred to it as like their Miss Machine, kind of like with Dillinger, where they had the Dimitri, their original vocalist, and then Greg's first introduction. It's kind of just like a whole whirlwind. It's like a whole new direction, and it's still themselves, but it's new. They ended the set with Star Baby, which I fucking loved. Like I said, that album's been out for 12 days, and the first 2 days it was out, I obsessively listened to it. I think I listened to it like 15 times in 2 days. That's the most I've listened to an album in a while. They're super fun. The only word I wrote in my note is zany. They were just like funny and goofy, dancey. I really was glad to hear. I was excited that it was your first exposure to them, because there's just so much wild about them. 7 members, a violinist. They're just like making like meta references to themselves and other bands, and then like their interludes between songs will either be like dance hits or like Slipknot medleys. Like they're all over the place.
I think what really caught my attention within those dance bits was like duality with like a Japanese hyper dance bit. I was like, what is going on with this? Like it sounded like it sounded so Japanese. Like that's the best way, like video game Japanese hyper dance, like with duality as the vocal, like Corey Taylor's vocals. Like I was just kind of like, what is going on? And I wasn't turned off by it. I thought it was super fun. I liked their dynamic. Damn, dude. The car next to us just turned on. I think that's literally it. And what was I gonna say before like that? Oh no, like I love their dynamic because they seemed really quirky, like to have fun with each other, and like you were saying, like making meta references to themselves. But like I think in general, like what's the vocalist name?
Carson Pace.
That dude. He has such a like outgoing attitude, and like it almost seemed like he was kind of doing like not quite stand-up comedy, but like he had like a really good, he was very comfortable on stage enough to like crack jokes comfortably, and like get like a great response from the audience. I couldn't really hear the saxophone too well, to be honest, or the violin. I think that was just due to the mix. I mean, that's about all I can really do. Yeah, I think they were awesome. I don't know what I could even classify, like if you're a fan of so and so, you might be a fan of Callous Daoboys. Also, like the name Callous Daoboys, I think that's an already automatic giveaway that they like to have fun with names, in my opinion. Yeah, no, this was my first exposure, and I'm glad it was because like I got to see the quirkiness on stage, and it kind of made me like it put a smile on my face. Like you can still have fun. You don't have to take yourself super seriously, and you just got to appreciate your craft, and then like take everything with a grain of salt, and just like keep pushing on, and I don't know, just be themselves. I don't know how like stressful it is probably in them in the studios. I'm assuming it's just them still cracking jokes, having fun. Um, Cryptodira though, that was killer. How would you? Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I just had some final thoughts on Callous. I almost said Dallas. Yeah, they had great crowd work, interacted with the crowd, actually like getting in it, you know, holding their instruments out for them, just like utilizing every part of the stage. And yeah, their meta humor, they're kind of like developing this cult of personality, and then just they reference that in their lyrics and on stage. And yeah, they're a ton of fun. For fans of like how to describe them, I discovered them because of Every Time I Die and Dillinger communities, and then also the Chariot.
I saw a guy wearing a Chariot shirt today, actually. And I was like, oh, that's a throwback. I saw that band perform at a floor show at a church like years ago. Yeah. They were headlining that tour, and the only reason I went was because Glass Cloud was playing that. Ooh, yeah. If y'all remember that band, Glass Cloud, like Josh Travers fanboy.
I didn't get to see that.
It was good. The mix sucked though. Yeah. But I was just there for Glass Cloud.
Yeah. But yeah, in interviews, they have like wild reference or influences that are all over the place. There's like I wish I could remember specifically. There's like a lot of like random pop stuff you wouldn't expect. If I had to gripe about anything, it would be something I was really looking forward to when hearing them live is when you listen to their albums, they have 7 members, variety of instruments, and in the albums, the violin, the saxophone, it gets lost in the mix. And I had heard some people say hearing them live is the ideal experience because you really hear them fleshed out. And unfortunately, it's like I was familiar with the material, so I feel like I could kind of pinpoint it. But yeah, it was still, there's just so much going on with their sound. It's impressive they're as cohesive as they are with as much going on as there is. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I feel like they're on the cusp. Like their next album's going to be a banger if they just really sort of utilize everything to the full extent. Okay, so yeah. That's enough gushing. Finally, Cryptodira.
Yeah. So I just finally looked up the song that they didn't play, and I think it was As Hell As Is on Earth. Let me check real quick. Yeah, and Hell as on Earth. There we go. That was the song I was really hoping to play. That was the song that actually got me into them. But they are, yeah, they're kind of like more on the progressive side. They're definitely a little bit more on the I guess BT Bam side of things. They definitely have I don't actually I forgot. I blanked. I should have taken notes, to be honest. I should have pulled a you.
Hey, whatever.
But
I don't have much.
but anyways, like Cryptodira is a fantastic band. Kind of like if you're in the realm of like liking Between the Bear and Me, you might like Cryptodira. They definitely switch off from like heavily distorted guitars to cleans, and then have like some clean vocals from time to time, which are actually really soothing. But like the ambiance that they create with like their clean sounds, it's a little bit like not quite eerie, but kind of like unsettling and kind of mysterious. And it is, I mean, I enjoy it. I think it kind of like provides a story, like what the mood that they're setting is. Um, yeah, I mean, I have nothing much else to say about them.
Yeah, of the bands tonight, they're the ones I was the least familiar with. I've still listened to their albums and I liked them. And I always sort of thought of them as sounding like Between the Buried and Me, but if they leaned more on the death metal side than the prog, like just some prog splashed in.
Silent Circus.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, tonight I feel like there was more variety with them than I was expecting. There was like prog, but they also still kept up with all the like mathy bands tonight. And their material, the only note I have, their material was a bit slower than the other bands, but man, when they had some riffs, they were big. They were like cohesive, all doing it together. It was just like chunky and just like churning. It was good stuff. Yeah, and clean vocals and
their merch girl was actually like hopping in and out, like doing guest vocals from time to time. And the vocals for Callous hopped in for a song or two. I think that's cool that they just go up and like, all right, cool, my turn.
Yeah, that DIY mentality is so cool.
No, Rolo Tomassi.
I didn't write any notes for Rolo Tomassi.
I didn't write any notes, but like the way I can describe it is like if you're a fan of Spirit Box, you'll definitely be a fan of Rolo Tomassi. They gave me like I think they're within the same realm. Like Rolo Tomassi have these like beautiful ambient parts, but then like the cool thing about the vocalist is that I know she carried two mics, and I think specifically one for her like aggressive screaming vocals and then one for her actual singing. I think there'll be two different mics catering to like the vocal range of like one probably handles cleans better than the other, and the other handles more of her like scream and like growls than the other, which I respect that. I mean, like she utilized both of them pretty well, and the thing about it is that she was never staying still ever. She was always kind of like dancing, like doing movements, and then like kind of like that was gonna sound weird displaying her body, but like kind of like jerking her body like according to the music. And I think that was really cool. To me, it kind of gave me like theater vibes a little bit, like I guess like interpretive dance vibes. I thought that was really awesome. Uh, yeah, the light show was awesome too. So good, so good. Like intimate, dark, but like the keyboardist had some really great pulsating riffs that like the drummer was kind of like I guess in the studio or like whenever they were writing, just like had that one note pulsating, just a consistent beat, and then like the drummer probably set the mood, and that's exactly what he did, and just became like this aggressive, epic s- like drop, and then, like where everybody came in, and like the guitar riff seemed pretty like like, you know, like simple from my like my point of view. And I think it's like what makes them so unique is that they know how to layer every instrument well. Like you don't have to be complex. I think I've said it before. You don't have to be complex.
punchy.
Yeah, you don't have to be like the most like virtuoso in one instrument. I think as long as you know how to layer your music like well and communicate with others, you're going to have a great product at the end. And I think Rolo Tomassi is a great example of that. Um, her vocals is fucking awesome though. Like they're kind of mesmerizing a little bit. Like every time she cut on that mic and started to sing, like you can kind of like see how well she can kind of like controls her vocal cords and like just slowly like, expanding and then like compressing. I think that's the right word. Contracting.
Yeah.
Like expand and contract her vocals pretty well. Her breath control is awesome. I think really good. She was well trained. Also on a side note, going back to Callous Daoboys, when the violin, I wanted to make this comment. The violinist, like when she was like uh playing her bow, I noticed her bow strings are actually like ripping apart a little bit from like use back.
Happens,
Yeah, I mean like playing that much on tour. Now back to Rolo Tomassi. Wow, my voice is a little hoarse. um no, like even their encore, you're like, just imagine we're getting off stage and just start clapping like you want us back or whatever. I thought that was pretty fun. It was like, come on, just get off stage and then come back on. You just got it, just do it. But it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the bands all knew that the fans loved them and were there for it, and every band, you know, looked up to Rolo and was inspired by them. And I mean, I was just looking up. I mean, they've been doing it since 2005. I mean, they've been crazy influential. They've been doing this for a while. I got into them pretty late. It was not until their 2018 release, Time Will Die and Love Will Bury It. That's where I got into it. Went back through their discog, and then I've still kind of just gravitated towards their recent releases because I think they're one of those bands that's just incrementally getting better with each of their releases. And this trifecta of their last three are just like, that's pretty much like all the material they played, and all of it is so good. Yeah, their song got dynamics. You know, the riffs are punchy. They don't have to be super intricate. It's just a matter of like when you place it, if you've, you know, established it. And the synthesizer, the keyboardist is not an afterthought in this band. You know, it's not just like some hokey ambience thrown in. I mean, it's fully utilized. I mean, most of the songs, the moments I was looking forward to were just like the swelling of, like, my favorite song was, oh God, I'm going to sound like such a loser forgetting the name of my favorite song. But when they played Balancing the Dark, like in the middle of the set, God, just the goosebumps. It's so immaculate and beautiful, life affirming, inspiring words. They were super good. Yeah, I like the dual mic setup. I kind of am surprised more vocalists don't utilize that, actually. Just calibrating two mics differently, and it was a noticeable difference, I thought. It sounded great, her bouncing between the two.
Mm-hmm. I know for Between a Bear and Me, Thomas Giles actually has two mics. I guess like in the studio, one for like his singing, one for his growl. So she probably took inspiration from that, or probably didn't even think about it, and she just wanted to have two mics. I don't know. It sounds good. The production was awesome. Fuck you, mean. Fuck around and find out.
Let's see.
We haven't done this in a while because this is a new venue that we actually put on the podcast. We usually like to give like little shout outs to like restaurants. So Tapas Teatros, one of my favorite like Spanish tapas places. I've been going to a while. Was this your first time there?
Yeah, first for all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, great Spanish tapas. I definitely recommend.
Sophie's Crepes.
Oh yeah, Sophie's Crepes. That was my first time too. I actually went with the savory side today. But yeah, shouts outs to those places. Great food. Metro Gallery was great. I would give the show a solid 8.3 for me, just because like I wasn't familiar, but I was still very wowed by everything, and it's just still like kind of in awe. I kept myself purposefully in the dark because I wanted to see these bands firsthand. What my reaction would be? Would I like it? Would I hate it? I don't know. No, I love it. It's awesome. I definitely probably gonna deep dive in like Rolo's material. I'm surprised I didn't. They never showed up on my feed
Yeah.
at all for like music in general.
Yeah, Rolo's been very influential with mathcore, um, but they're very proggy, and also for the first time the other day online, I saw a comment where someone referred to them as black gaze, which is kind of like Deaf Heaven. It's like black metal with shoegaze, which I dig Deaf Heaven, and I am surprised I sort of never put the two together. Um, but I can't remember if I've ever given a show a 10 or if I have when the last time was, but regardless, I don't know. I think I might give this one a 10.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's like I don't want to give them out too frequently, like too liberally or anything, but I mean, I just had such a great time. I mean, I didn't take notes. I wasn't like lost in my head. I was just completely living in the moment. I mean, we were interacting with so many just band members and fans, just like I'm usually pretty introverted, but I was so social, just like roaming around, just like going in between songs. I was in the mosh for like most of the night. Every band I was into. I just had a just great time. Like when I envision a concert, this is pretty much the ideal that I want. So if that's not a 10, I don't know what is.
I agree. Actually, when I was watching you, I was like, man, he's actually having a really good time. I'm here on the sidelines, and I was thinking to myself, am I retiring from the pit for a while, or am I just going to save myself from Meshuggah next week? Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while since I've been in the pit, but part of me is like, I'm kind of retired a little bit, but I'm also like, I don't really want to go in. But like some of those parts were pretty heavy, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to go in. Nah. Also, there was this really funny thing. When I was like standing on the sidelines for Rolo Tomassi, there's this like short guy with a fucking cowboy hat. Yeah, holding a beer, just like living life. And I was just looking at it, it's like, what are you doing here? You look like you don't belong here. And then he tried to get into the pit. He was like kind of like holding his beer, walking like, oh, this is where the kids hang out. And little did he know, he's like the whole pit broke out, and then like this guy was trying to protect him from it. And I was like, I guess I gotta protect this dude too. That's one thing. I'll never not be around the pit. I like being around the pit regardless. But I was just looking at it, I was like, what is this goofy ass motherfucker doing? Yeah, I think someone actually took his hat for a bit. It was just actually pretty funny. I laughed a little bit, but like he looked like he was chill. Like he laughed about it. I guess they hugged it out. I mean, they weren't mad. He wasn't mad. He was just having fun. He was just there for a good time. But I think it caught him off guard. Someone took his hat, and he like like laughed at it. It's like, oh haha, like these youngins are having a good time. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I saw him at some point in Rolo's set. He was like answering his phone, just like walking through the pit on his cell phone. I'm like, how can he hear anything? When he first walked in at the merch table with the Daoboys, they were all excited. So I guess it must have been like a family member or someone they know, maybe.
This motherfucker was in sandals too.
Oh, I didn't notice that. That's funny.
I noticed. That's all I gotta say. Rolo Tomassi, Cryptodira, Callous Daoboys, Under the Pier. This was a great show. Thank you for tonight. Thank you for playing your hearts out. Do you have anything else to say?
I did, but I forgot it.
Nice.
That'll haunt me.
You can't sleep tonight after that. He's you're gonna fucking you're gonna lay in your bed. Your eyes are gonna be open. You're like, I just remembered.
Actually, I did that for the first time. I think for the Hiatus Coyote episode.
Oh, really?
Either no, the Rings of Saturn one, where I remembered the story about the guy in the bathroom. He like broke his nose and the military guy reset it. I forgot to say it when we did it, so I recorded the next morning.
Oh,
And it was just me being like, hey everyone, like here's the story I forgot to tell. And it sounded so different, not in the car. It was so like stark and quiet. I'm like, hey, it's just me.
You're like, oh wait, there's actual audio soundproof here.
Yeah.
Weird. But yeah, I'm signing off. This is Walter.
This was Brent.
Thank you for tuning in. Buenas noches.
Peace.
Peace.